Rutuja brings a deep foundation in computer science, enriched with a specialization in data science through her master's. Her experience in technology, strategy, and consulting is broad, spanning years of collaboration with diverse teams across IT and business. As a visualization and interaction science consultant at Accenture, she specializes in data and design, guiding the Data Experience Design Expert Group. Collaborating on the client side, she excels as a Scrum Master, leading and facilitating Gen AI projects focused on commercial taxes at their innovation lab. Beyond her primary role, Rutuja wears many hats. She's a mentor, a design thinking coach, an I Am Remarkable facilitator, and a skilled public speaker. And so we're so excited to welcome you to the Outlier stage.
Can you hear me all properly? I think so, yes. So let's start with my talk and let this sink in. It says that we all fear what we do not understand. And it is a sentiment that is captured by the author Dan Brown in his Lost Symbol, but it perfectly articulates the fear or the initial apprehension that we all have when we want to think about Gen AI into creative fields like data visualization and design. But today, I'm going to demystify this to think about AI not only augmenting our creativity, but also acting as a collaborative partner, accelerating the process of uncovering insights and telling stories. So let's start with the first pillar. The first pillar is the pillar of responsible AI. And yes, it is not something to bolt on at the end. It is something that you should start when you start beginning your AI workflow. It is the process of designing, creating, and implementing AI solutions so that we all feel that the technology is safe in the long term and also going in the ethical direction. And you will see that I do not have like a separate section to focus on responsible AI, but instead I have interwoven its different concepts in the different discussions that come forward. And that's how it should be. It should not be something at the end, but something that you ingrain, start from the workflow, and such that it opens new ideas of thought. It can help you to explore boundaries, to think about AI and its impacts in the long term. And that's how you integrate it in your workflow. Then you have heard about things like data-informed decision-making, data-enhanced decision-making. So let us see what is all about the second pillar, which is data. And is quality enough? Data quality ensures that your data source is secure, it's performant, it also has the updated current information. You don't have aggregated data, but you have granular data in that. But is data quality enough? The answer is no, because you also require a thing called as data representation. And data representation is all about thinking, are there any biases in your data? Have you thought about inclusion and exclusion in your data? Is your data giving you a complete picture, or do you require some additional data to supplement it? Also, are you capturing your data with the consent of the users? Is it only a minimum viable data, which is also the necessary data that is required by your AI systems, and you're not over-capturing anything? And the last important thing is about data dependencies. So have you checked about these dependencies and uncovering the different potential consequences that can have if you neglect it? And one tip here is talking to your end users to see and assess how fair and ethical your systems are to them. So not only quality, but also representation is what you have to think in the second pillar of data. Then you have heard about concepts like human in the loop, human driven, but where is human in the picture and what is our role? It is perfectly articulated by the Danish Design Center. They have this digital ethic compass. And in this ethics compass, you can see that we are right at the center. So it is designing ethical products or products from an ethical standpoint where you keep human at the center of all the discussions. So when you collaborate with AI, it's always about human and AI partnership because humans have the ability of empathy and also exhibiting critical thinking. So it is always about a partnership because design is always a conversation and design is always a collaboration. Now, keeping you at the center, you have to think about your original workflows because your role is different, your tasks are different, and how do you collaborate with GenAI is also going to be different. Here is an example of a data and design workflow, starting right from the workshop to creating metrics and dashboards. This can be also your workflow, but it depends upon analyzing it. So maybe let us start this workflow with a workshop. So you are starting about a client project and you want to have a design thinking or an initial workshop with the client. For simplicity, I have just considered the tools of Figma and its plugins, Power BI and Tableau with all its GenAI capabilities. So starting for the workshop, you can just use FigJam AI, which is an inbuilt feature of Figma, and you can give prompts and generate the design thinking or any workshop templates as per your requirements very quickly. This is the most tedious part of workshop prep, which is done in just a matter of seconds. It also has icebreakers if you prompt it to do so, and then you can adjust it accordingly. After that, maybe you think that creating ideas, you also have to develop some personas. You can use Person AI, which is like a plugin in Figma. It can quickly help you to ideate some initial personas, which you can take for discussion with your client or your end user just to validate your request. It is also totally formattable as per as your company branding guidelines because it comes as an editable frame in Figma. Then maybe you have some ideas and you want to rapidly initiate on that or ideate on that. So you have Jambot from Figma, in which from a sticky note, you can just rapidly generate ideas. You can also have templates which summarize it, write maybe emails as a format to your team to prioritize this request or this task. Then maybe there is a next consideration of creating low fidelity wireframes or prototypes. There is a plugin called as Wiregen, which can help you to create this editable wireframes in a matter of seconds in Figma. But that also you should discuss it with your end users so that you can also enhance them at the end. Then maybe you have this requirement, you have gathered all the design requirements, you have the low fidelity prototypes, you want to create a dashboard. You don't start with a blank canvas. Maybe you can use the Copilot from Power BI to give you initial visualizations from where you can take forward your dashboards. It does not stop here. Maybe there are people in your organization who do not have bandwidth or access to the data, and still you want to enable them to make these data-enhanced decisions. For them, you can use metrics in Tableau Pulse, where you can easily set it up, and they can have this access to the metrics who do not have access to these dashboards or the data sources. And remind me that this is an example workflow. So you should keep yourself at the center and design your workflow accordingly as per your tasks. Maybe you're not heavily a data and design person. Maybe you are a data designer person. Your workflow can look something like this, where you are focused mainly on Figma, for example, and its plugins. So this workflow is very different per person. Next one is that you need to be transparent. Explain the data usage. So this is how Figma uses your prompts with OpenAI. But to the end users, instead of giving them loads of documentations to read, draw up simple workflow diagrams, which is also very useful for the end users to know how their data is being processed by these tools. Then we have different best practices. And from this, I would say the key takeaways are that you have to treat it as a general advice. It is not at all a substitute for an expert advice. And you should use your own judgment, your own critical thinking when you want to present these results or when you want to make some decisions based on them. And very important that whenever you're using AI-generated output, or AI-generated data you're presenting, you need to always inform your end users that you're doing so. It is not something to hide. It's not a good design practice. So you need to let the end users know that you are using AI-generated outputs. And then they say that every boost of inspiration helps you to explore different paths which you have not seen before. And here are some inspirations for you. Maybe you get inspired from projects like the Unsupervised by Refik in the MoMA, or you have explored some MIT Design Lab projects like the unique one, which is like a dinner, which is hosted by the artificial intelligence. Or there is a project called as Living Memories, where people can actually talk with their idols. Maybe think of it talking with your idol, Albert Einstein. So how positive influence it can have on young minds. So these projects are actually creating a positive disruption in the space. And yes, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I would wait later for your questions. Thank you.